So the US has decided that instead of negotiating with Canada when it comes to CUSMA, the North American trade deal, they're going to just start demanding Canada make changes. Otherwise, they're just going to dump it completely. And amongst their demands were changing the limits on US dairy allowance in Canada. They want to get rid of Canadian content requirements for streaming in US tech companies. And then they're also mad that we're still not selling US booze from our LCBOs across Canada. And I honestly hope to God that Carney holds on these items. Because you know what? Like, fuck them. Fuck them. They don't get to come into our house and fucking make demands. That's not how it works. You know, they keep complaining about our dairy industry when the stupid thing about it is that the limit that we have set currently has never been met. The US has never sold enough dairy in Canada to actually go over the limit. And that's because in general, Canadians do not want US dairy, and most of it doesn't even, meet the requirements, the safety and the quality requirements that are needed in Canada, because they put so much hormones and other shit into their dairy that we just don't want it. But the thing is that if they were to completely scrap that entire idea, yes, US products would flood the market because it would be cheaper for grocery stores, like companies like Loblaws, to buy cheaper US. So if they scrapped the quality, if they scrapped the limits, we'd be in a lot of trouble, and our dairy farmers would no longer be able to operate because they wouldn't be able to meet. Because the thing is that the US, because they produce on a higher level, like they produce way more than what Canada is capable of producing, they can pump it out at cheaper prices, and thus when a grocery store buys it in large quantities, they can get a much cheaper price. So despite the fact that Canadians wouldn't want to buy that crap, Loblaws doesn't care. If they can get it at a cheaper rate, they will just force us to buy it. There will be no other options because they will make more of a profit, and that's all that they care about. So if Canada were to get rid of any of our standards, we'd be so screwed. Our dairy industry would be done. Okay, so no, can't do that. Can't do that. As for the streaming, yeah, they wouldn't put out any Canadian content because barely any Canadian content's being put onto the US side. So why would they put Canadian content in Canada if they didn't have to? Do you know people that I just realized didn't know we had This Hour Has 22 Minutes in Canada? They were all calling it the Canadian SNL version. Or the version of Canada's version of SNL. Like, it was quite a while before people discovered Schitt's Creek, and it was only because it was doing so well on Netflix in Canada that they thought, okay, we'll put it on in the US, and then it did really well. But if Schitt's Creek wasn't originally on Netflix in Canada, do you think they would have cared to put it over into the US market? No, not at all. Same thing with other shows like Trailer Park Boys, only because it was a massive hit in Canada as a requirement by Canadian content laws to be showed. Then the US thought, oh, well, why don't we just put it over on our other streaming services? And then it became a big show down there too. That's the thing, is that if you don't have these requirements, the companies are never going to give these shows a chance to begin with. They're just going to pump in the fucking US content that they constantly, and they won't give these Canadian shows a chance. I mean, most of the time when you get foreign outside of US content on Netflix, it's because they bought it cheap, not because they bought it at an actual decent amount. It's because they bought it cheap just to fill up their streaming services. And I don't want our Canadian content to be devalued and ignored. I'm a Canadian and I want to see my Canadian content on these streaming services. So to that I say, fuck you. No, you're not. We're not going to change those rules. Respect. If you're going to operate in Canada, you respect Canadian content. And as for the booze thing, no, fuck you. A bunch of our provinces already said they're selling it off to charity, which, by the way, Doug Ford, you're an asshole. You seem to be all about selling booze until it actually doesn't make you a profit. Suddenly, it's so hard for you to sell booze for the money to go to charity. But yeah, no, we're not. We're not. This is not Carney is too busy finding other people to deal with. And if you guys are going to be a pain in the ass and keep pushing on our boundaries, then no, we ain't going to be in a relationship with you. Okay? We're not. So, too fucking bad.